Welcome to Storytime with Herbal Roots zine. I'm Kristine Brown, and today I'm going to read to you a story I wrote for Herbal Roots zine from issue number 26, Boisterous Burdock. Have you ever heard of burdock? More likely you remember burdock if you've ever gotten it tangled in your hair. Burdock seed heads have little hooks on them, and they inspired the creator of Velcro to invent it after pulling the burrs off his dog after a walk through a patch of them. Burdock has other value too. The roots can be eaten and are cooked like carrots and parsnips and other root vegetables. I also like to dry and roast the roots to use for a rich coffee-like beverage, and will often add it to chai blends such as cinnamon and ginger, black pepper, cardamom, fennel, and bay laurel. The seeds can be sprouted and added to soups and sandwiches just like any other sprouts. Burdock is best known for his use as a blood purifier or alterative, although he has other uses as well. He is a protective herb, and his tendency to clean the blood, the kidneys, and the bladder, and other impurities of the body through sweating tells us he really likes to clean house, especially where deep cleaning is required. Burr oil is a well-known and used oil in Europe, made from an infusion of the roots in oil. Burr oil is used mainly on the hair to lessen thinning hair, improve growth, strength, and luster, and to also give relief from dandruff and itchy, irritated scalps. The seeds can also be infused in oil and used for this purpose as well. Because of his strong actions on the liver, burdock helps with skin eruptions such as psoriasis, eczema, and acne. Infusions taken internally and oils or tinctures externally will help to heal the cause of these irritations. They must be taken several times daily for at least 3 weeks before seeing any improvement, and sometimes longer, but it is worth the time for the results. Burdock leaves are great for relieving burns. They can be blanched, cooled, and then wrapped around the burn to relieve the pain and help the skin to heal. I've seen this work firsthand several times. I could go on and on and on about burdock's uses, but I'll stop here. So today's story is Burdock Gets Noticed. Back in the earliest times, when the plants were lush and green, the air fresh and clean, and the animals roamed freely, the plants were settling into their roots. The primitives began roaming the meadows and meadowsides and learned to use the plants for food and healing. The plants were excited to be used and often competed with each other for attention so man could use them. One plant was widely available, but completely ignored by the primitives. He wasn't even given a name. This plant was sad. He knew deep down in his roots that he had a lot to offer the primitives, but he didn't know how to get their attention. One day, he decided to consult the mighty wind. "Mighty wind, you've told me tales of traveling over the earth and how the primitives have used different plants for healing. I have so much to offer, but they don't pay attention to me. What can I do to change this?" The wind whistled quietly for a moment, then replied, "I have seen the primitives harvest plantain for his leaves. Perhaps if you grew larger leaves, they would pay attention and use them." So, as it was spring, this plant grew and grew and grew his leaves until they were large. The primitives took notice and started using the leaves to wrap their fish and game in when they cooked their food in the fire pits. The plant was happy that they were noticing, but he knew he still had more to offer. He called on the sun to help. "Dearest sun, your warmth has bore down on the primitives and plants alike all over this great earth. I know I have much to offer to them. Do you have any advice for me to share my medicine with the primitives? The sun shone brightly and replied, I have seen the primitives harvesting calendula for her pretty flowers. Perhaps if your flowers were pretty, they'd harvest yours too. Good idea, said the plant. As it was now summer, he grew out delicate pinkish purple flowers on green balls that were sure to get the primitives' attention. The primitives noticed the flowers and harvested them, but they did not find them to their liking, so they did not continue to do so. Sighing, the plant drooped down. The rain fell on him, and he said to the rain, Sweet rain, you've fallen on all the plants on this beautiful earth. Tell me, what can I do to get the primitives' attention so they will use me for their medicine? The rain gently fell and then replied in her twinkling voice, I have noticed the primitives often catch their clothes and hairs on the rose's prickles. Perhaps if you grew prickly, they would notice you. As it was now autumn, the plant decided to make his flower heads prickly, and when the primitives walked by, the seed heads grabbed onto their clothes and their hair. The primitives took notice and used the seeds in their medicine. They liked the effects of using seeds for their kidney problems. They stored them over the winter, but noticed bugs hatching out, ruining the seeds. They threw out the remainder of the seeds in disgust. The plant was so dismayed by this that he decided not to grow back again, becoming a biennial plant. The primitives were sad. They were growing to like this plant they had discovered. The leaves were used for poulticing burns and other skin problems, and the seeds were used for kidney problems. They started referring to the plant as burdock, referring to his burry seed heads and his dock-like leaves. They were sad the plant had died. The next spring, the seeds they had thrown out started to sprout. The primitives watched the new burdock patch and harvested leaves from it carefully. When the summer came around, there were no flowers, and so when the autumn came, no seeds. Needing some of the burdock's kidney medicine, they dug up some of the roots and added them to their meals. They discovered the taste was delicious and their food nourishing. Drying the roots gave them kidney medicine all winter long. From then on, burdock was regularly used by the primitives for food and medicine, and to this day, we still refer to him as burdock, although we've shortened it to burdock. I hope you've enjoyed today's story. If you'd like to learn more about burdock, you can find the burdock ebook in my shop. I'll put a link in the description. It's also a part of my course, New to Herbs, which features 13 herbs over the course of a year. It's a fun way to learn about the medicinal use of herbs. Thanks for visiting Herbal Roots Zine for Storytime, and I'll see you next time.